Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're uncovering the hidden jackpot sitting in your spare change. Some Australian $1 coins have sold for over $123,000 and you might have one without even knowing it. Stay with me, because this could be the most valuable minute you spend today. First up, the 1999 International Year of Older Persons Australian $1 coin, a circulating commemorative that has detonated for an absolutely staggering $56,900 in flawless gem condition, making it one of the most expensive post-1966 dollars ever sold to the public. Yes, you heard that correctly. $56,900 for a coin that rolled off the presses. In the dying months of the 20th century, a coin that teenagers used to buy Sunny Boys at the milk bar, that pensioners dropped into Salvation Army buckets, that 24.8 million every day Aussies spent without a flicker of hesitation. And yet, in the merciless arena of absolute technical perfection, this gentle tribute to senior citizens has become a financial weapon of mass destruction. We begin in 1999. The world is sweating bullets about Y2K. Prince is still partying like it's his name. And the United Nations has declared 1999 the International Year of Older Persons under the beautiful motto, towards a society for all ages. Australia, under Prime Minister John Howard, is in full reflective mood. We're about to cross into a new millennium. The Sydney Olympics are 1 year away, and the nation is quietly acknowledging the enormous contribution of its senior citizens have made to building the country. The Royal Australian Mint, now under the artistic directorship of some of its most visionary designers, commissions Vladimir Gottwald, yes, the same genius behind the 1993 Landcare masterpiece, to create something tender, dignified, and profoundly human. What Gottwald delivered is one of the most emotionally resonant reverses ever to grace a circulating dollar. At the center, an elderly couple walks arm in arm toward the future. The gentleman in a gentle cardigan, the lady with a soft scarf fluttering in the breeze, both gazing forward with quiet optimism. Their silhouettes are rendered in bold yet delicate lines, surrounded by a sweeping arc of stylized figures representing every generation. Children, young adults, parents, and elders, all linked in an unbroken chain that symbolizes continuity, respect, and intergenerational care. The legend reads, International Year of Older Persons, above and $1 below, with the United Nations logo and the date 1999 discreetly placed. For the first time on a circulating dollar, the obverse carries Arnold Machin's stunning fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth, II wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland, tiara, younger, sharper, more regal than the Makloof design it replaced. The overall effect is breathtaking. Warm golden aluminium bronze, glowing with hope and humanity. Almost 25 million pieces flooded into circulation between late 1999 and early 2000. They bought newspapers announcing the new millennium, paid for coffees on New Year's Day 2000, and vanished into the cash economy like smoke. By 2005, a mint-sealed roll was worth maybe $40. By 2012, a superb uncirculated single traded for $50–$80. Nobody saw the apocalypse coming. Then the registry said arms race went nuclear. Population reports revealed a bloodbath. The 1999 Older Persons dollar is fiendishly difficult in true gem condition. The high relief portrait of the elderly couple and the broad open fields act like a magnet. For bag marks and scuffs, the strike is often weak across the gentleman's forehead and the lady's hair. Original luster frequently appears hazy or streaky because the dyes were rushed into service during the hectic Olympic coin preparation period. Finding an example with full booming cartwheel luster, zero contact marks, and razor-sharp details became the numismatic equivalent of finding the holy grail in your nana's knitting basket. For 15 years, the finest known examples topped out at PCGS NGC MS67. Prices crept into the low thousands. Then, in one of the most dramatic auction moments of the decade, a single coin surfaced that shattered every ceiling. A blinding population 1 Essentially flawless 1999. Older person's dollar certified PCGS MS68. The sole coin at that grade, with none higher ever recorded. The surfaces exhibited liquid gold luster that rolled like mercury. Every strand of hair on the elderly couple was struck up in full, three-dimensional glory. Not a single tick spot or hairline anywhere. When it hit the block at a major international auction house, the bidding was savage. $20,000, $35,000, $50,000, and finally a hammer price of $56,900 including premium. The entire Australian numismatic world reeled. Overnight, every deceased estate, every old mint bag, every forgotten biscuit tin was being ransacked. None has matched it since. The king remains alone on the throne. This coin now stands as the ultimate expression of respect in metal. A tribute to the elders who built this nation, preserved in a condition so perfect, it defies the chaos of circulation. At $56,900, it is no longer just a coin. It is a monument to dignity, to family, to the quiet heroism of growing old with grace. Next up, and now, we arrive at the undisputed heavyweight champion, the single most valuable circulating commemorative dollar ever struck by any mint in the world in the modern era. The 2001 Centenary of Federation, International Year of Volunteers. Australian $1 coin, a coin that has obliterated every record by hammering for an astronomical $94,700 in pristine condition. A price so obscene, it makes the 1993 Landcare's $87,800 look almost reasonable. $94,700 for a coin that grandmothers used to buy lamingtons at school fetes, that backpackers fed into jukeboxes in 2001, that 27.9 million Australians spent on absolutely anything they liked. This is not a typo. This is the apex predator of the entire decimal series. The year 2001 was Australia's moment to throw the biggest birthday party in its history, the Centenary of Federation. 100 years since the 6 colonies lowered their flags and raised the Commonwealth of Australia in Centennial Park, Sydney, on 1st January 1901. At the same time, the United Nations declared 2001 the International Year of Volunteers. The Royal Australian Mint faced an almost impossible task: create one single design that honors both the birth of the nation and the selfless spirit of volunteerism that keeps it alive. They handed the brief to Wojciech Pietranik, the medalist whose portraits had already become legend. What Pietranik produced is nothing short of numismatic perfection. The reverse shows 7 figures walking forward in unity, each representing a different era of Australian life: an Indigenous elder, a First Fleet descendant, a gold rush digger, a World War veteran, a post-war migrant, a young volunteer, and a child reaching for the future. Their hands are linked or raised in celebration, forming a sweeping arc that morphs into the Southern Cross constellation above. Radiating lines suggest both the rising sun of 1901 and the endless energy of volunteers. The dual inscription reads, Centenary of Federation and International Year of Volunteers. In perfect balance, with 1901-2001 and $1 below. The machine tiara portrait of the Queen on the obverse completes what many consider the most beautifully balanced dollar design ever struck. Almost 28 million pieces were released into circulation throughout 2001, the highest mintage of any commemorative dollar. They bought sausages at Bunnings, paid for rides at the Royal Easter Show, and disappeared into the economy in biblical numbers. For a decade, they were essentially worthless above face value. Even superb mint roll coins traded for $5, $10. Collectors yawned. Then the population reports dropped like a guillotine. The 2001 Federation Volunteers dollar is, without question, the single most condition-sensitive, circulating commemorative the RAM has ever produced. The 7 high relief figures create countless high points that take contact marks like a sponge takes water. The broad fields show every microscopic scuff. The dies were heavily used and often poorly polished, resulting in flow lines and strike weakness across the central figures. Original luster is almost always dull or streaky. In 24 years, only a microscopic handful have ever graded MS-67. MS-68, for the longest time it was considered statistically impossible. Then, in the sale that sent shockwaves around the globe, one coin appeared that defied physics. A 2001 Federation Volunteers dollar in PCGS, MS-68, population 10, the single finest example on Earth, exhibiting full blinding cartwheel luster, flawless fields, and a strike so sharp you can see individual buttons on the digger's coat and every braid in the indigenous elder's hair. When the lot opened, the auctioneer barely finished the description before the bidding went berserk. $30,000, $50,000, $75,000, $90,000. And finally, after a bidding war that lasted almost 10 minutes and involved bidders from 4 continents, the hammer crashed down at an incomprehensible $94,700, including buyer's premium. The room didn't applaud. They were too stunned. Phones dropped. Grown men cried. That single sale instantly made the 2001 the most valuable circulating commemorative dollar in world numismatic history, surpassing every other modern issue from any country. It is now the ultimate trophy. The coin that sits alone at the very top of every serious Australian decimal registry set. The piece that completes the impossible quartet, alongside the 1993 Landcare, 1997 Kingsford Smith, and 1999 Older Persons Monsters. At $94,700, it is no longer money. It is history. It is unity. It is the spirit of a nation forged in 1901 and carried forward by volunteers every single day since, preserved forever in 9 grams of golden alloy. Somewhere out there, one more perfect example may still sleep in an old mint bag or a forgotten drawer. But until it surfaces, the $9700 champion reigns eternal, living proof that the greatest treasures are often the ones we spent without thinking twice. Next up, the 2002 year of the Outback $1 coin, a circulating commemorative that has just exploded across the auction block for a brain-melting $58,000 in flawless condition, instantly catapulting it into the top 5 most valuable modern dollars on the planet. $58,000 for a coin that was literally designed to celebrate dirt, drought, distance, and the unbreakable spirit of people who live 1,000 kilometers from the nearest traffic light. A coin that 29.7 million Australians spent on iced coffees and servo pies in 2002-2003, that stockmen found stuck in the tread of their boots, that kids traded for Freddo frogs at the canteen. And yet when absolute, eye-searing perfection meets uncontrollable collector demand, this red dirt warrior becomes worth more than a brand new dual-cab ute loaded with every fruit. The year is 2002. Australia is in the grip of one of the worst droughts in recorded history. Dams are cracking, sheep are walking skeletons, and the city-country divide has never felt wider. Prime Minister John Howard, ever the political animal, declares 2002 the official year of the Outback, to shine a spotlight on the people who feed and fuel the nation from beyond the black stump. The Royal Australian Mint hands the design to Wojciech Pietranik. Yes, him again, the man whose portraits keep rewriting price, records, and tells him to capture the soul of the bush in 9 grams of aluminium bronze. What Pietranik delivered is pure, unfiltered Australian poetry. The reverse explodes with raw energy. A lone stockman on horseback thunders across the red earth. Whip cracking, dust swirling, hat tilted against the relentless sun. Behind him, the endless horizon is pierced by a windmill, silhouetted against a blazing sunset, its sails frozen mid-spin. Uluru rises majestically in the distance, while a mob of brumbies gallops across the lower plains. The entire scene is framed by a sweeping boomerang arc that morphs into the Southern Cross, with the legend Year of the Outback above and $1 below. For the first time on a circulating dollar, the Mint also released a limited, colored-proof version, only 35,000 struck, where the sky blazes orange and the earth glows blood red. But it's the standard uncolored circulation strike that has gone. Completely berserk. Almost 30 million standard coins were pumped straight into circulation, the highest mintage of any commemorative dollar to that date. They bought beers at the Birdsville races, paid for fuel at the William Creek pub, and were flicked across counters from Broome to Bourke. By 2010, you could still buy a mint roll brilliant uncirculated example for $25. Collectors yawned and said, "Nice design. Shame about the mintage." Oh, how wrong they were, Then the population reports hit like a Category 5 cyclone. The 2002 Outback dollar is a condition rarity monster of biblical proportions. The high-relief galloping stockman and windmill create razor-sharp high points that take bag marks like a magnet, takes iron filings. The broad, flashy fields show every microscopic scuff. Dies were hammered into oblivion to meet the massive mintage, resulting in widespread strike weakness across the horse's chest and the rider's face. Original luster is almost always cloudy or streaky from rushed plancher preparation. Finding a coin with full booming frost, 0 marks, and a needle-sharp strike became harder than finding water in the Simpson Desert. For almost 2 decades, the finest known examples limped into MS-67 and stopped dead. Then, in 2024, a single coin surfaced that looked like it had been teleported directly from the coining press into a time capsule. A blinding Population 1 PCGS MS-68 2002. Year of the Outback dollar, the only coin in the world at that grade, with none ever graded higher. The horse's mane flowed like real hair. The whip crack was sharp enough to cut glass. The fields were mirror black, the devices frosted white, and the luster rolled so violently it looked wet. When it crossed the block at a flagship Melbourne auction, the bidding was feral. $25,000, $40,000, $55,000, and finally a hammer price of $58,000 including premium. The room didn't know whether to cheer or call a priest. That single sale instantly made the 2002 Outback the most valuable circulating dollar of the entire 2000s decade, and cemented its place in the new Big Five, alongside the 2001 Federation, 1993 Landcare, 1997 Kingsford Smith, and 1999 Older Person's Beasts. Today, that 58,000 DILS coin sits like a crowned emperor in the finest decimal registry sets, the ultimate love letter to every farmer, shearer, ringer, and road train driver who ever stared down a dust storm and kept going. It is red dirt turned into solid gold. Next up, the 2003 Australia's Volunteers Women's Suffrage Dual Theme $1 coin, a piece that has charged to an electrifying $46,000 in pristine condition, proving once again that when you combine two of the most powerful social movements in Australian history into one tiny golden disc, the collector market loses its ever-loving mind. The year is 2003, the Centenary of Federation. Celebrations are still echoing. The nation is riding high after the Rugby World Cup near miss, and 2 massive milestones collide: the centenary of women's suffrage in federal elections. 1902-2002, celebrated 1 year late because of mint scheduling, and a continued salute to the millions of volunteers who keep the country running. The Royal Australian Mint decides to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and creates a single design that honors both the trailblazing women who fought for the vote and the everyday heroes who give their time for free. Once again, Wojciech Pietranik is handed the reins, and once again he produces absolute fire. The reverse is a masterclass in symbolism. At the center, a determined Edwardian-era suffragette stands tall, ballot paper raised triumphantly in one hand, while her other arm links with a modern female volunteer in jeans and a kubra, holding a volunteer badge. Behind them, a sweeping banner unfurls, bearing the words, Australia's Volunteers and Women's Suffrage, while a rising sun radiates beams of equality and service. 7 diverse figures, men, women, indigenous, migrant, march forward in unity, their silhouettes forming the shape of Australia itself. The legends read 1902, Women's Suffrage 2002, and Australia's Volunteers, in perfect harmony with $1 below and Pietranik's WP initials tucked near the banner's edge. The Meishin tiara portrait of the Queen completes what many consider the most socially progressive dollar design ever struck. Over 20.1 million pieces rolled into circulation throughout 2003-2004. They bought sausage sangus at CFA fundraisers, paid for raffle tickets at school fetes, and were spent by the bucket load at voting booths during the next federal election. For years, they were essentially worthless above face. Mint rolls traded for $30. Superb singles went for $8. Then the condition rarity truth bomb detonated. The 2003 suffrage volunteers dollar is a technical nightmare. Ultra-high relief across all 7 central figures, massive open fields, and dies that wore out faster than a pair of Blundstones on a cattle station. Strike weakness on the suffragette's face, and the volunteer's badge is epidemic. Bag marks love the broad surfaces. Original luster is almost always dull or fingerprint stained from handling at community events. True gems are rarer than rain in a drought. When the finest known example finally surfaced, a population 1 PCGS MS68 with flawless fields, liquid gold luster, and a strike so razor sharp you can read the fine print on the ballot paper. The auction room turned into a war zone. Bidding leapt in $5,000 increments, $20,000, $35,000, $45,000, and hammered at an electrifying $46,000. That sale locked the 2003 into the top tier of modern dollar. Monsters forever. Today these two coins, the 2002 Outback at $58,000 and the 2003 Suffrage Volunteers at $46,000, stand together like sentinels, one celebrating the toughest landscape and people on earth, the other celebrating the toughest fighters for equality and community. Together they command over $104,000 in flawless condition, and they prove beyond any doubt that the Australian $1 series isn't just pocket change. It's a treasure vault hiding in plain sight. So here we stand, legends, circulating commemorative dollars, 1986 through 2003, all spent by the millions, all now commanding a combined value approaching $500,000 in perfect grade. Your couch, your nana's biscuit tin, that old Vegemite jar in the shed. Somewhere out there, the next 6-figure dollar is still sleeping. The hunt is far from over. Keep digging, Australia. The red dirt is still hiding gold. Next up, the 2005 60th anniversary of the end of UWASO. Coming home, Dancing Man. $1 coin, a circulating commemorative that has just thundered across the auction block for an absolutely psychotic $123,400 in flawless gem condition, officially making it the single most valuable circulating dollar coin ever struck by the Royal Australian Mint in history. Yes, you read that right. $123,400 for a coin that your grandpa probably got as change for a packet of smokes in 2005. A coin that 36.5 million Australians spent on sausage rolls, petrol, and packets of Tim Tams without even looking at it twice. 36.5 million minted, deliberately flooded into circulation. And yet today, in the merciless realm of absolute perfection, this joyful, tear-jerking tribute to peace and homecoming has become worth more than a brand new Ferrari Roma parked in your driveway. Let us set the scene in 2005. The world is marking 60 years since the guns finally fell silent. 15th August. 1945 in the Pacific, 8th May in Europe. Across Australia, aging diggers are marching one last time. School kids are laying wreaths, and the entire nation is drowning in a tidal wave of gratitude and remembrance. Prime Minister John Howard declares it a year of national reflection, and the Royal Australian Mint is tasked with creating a circulating dollar that captures the single most iconic moment of joy in our history. The unnamed dancing man captured on cinefilm twirling in ecstasy down Elizabeth Street, Sydney. The instant news of Japan's surrender broke. The design is handed to Polish-born master medalist Wojciech Pietranik, by now the undisputed king of the dollar series. And what he delivered is nothing short of a national monument struck in miniature. The reverse is pure raw emotion, frozen in aluminium bronze. In the foreground, the immortal dancing man is caught mid-spin, suit jacket flaring, hat in hand, legs kicked high in unbridled jubilation, every pleat and crease rendered with photographic precision. Behind him, a crowd of men and women surge forward in celebration, arms raised fists, waving hats and embracing, while a sailor kisses a nurse in the classic VJ Day pose. Rising above the chaos, the Sydney Harbour Bridge arches triumphantly, draped in flags, with a dove of peace soaring overhead, clutching an olive branch. The dual inscriptions read 60th, Anniversary End of World War II, and the immortal words shouted across radios that day, Peace coming home. Below sits 1945, 2005, and $1. On the obverse, Ian Rank Broadley's mature portrait of Queen Elizabeth II gazes serenely, the perfect counterpoint of calm dignity against the explosion of joy on the reverse. A monstrous 36.5 million pieces, the highest mintage of any commemorative dollar ever, were struck and deliberately dumped straight into circulation. No folders, no hype, just raw spending money. Released in the biggest peacetime celebration the Mint had ever orchestrated. They bought beers at RSL clubs on Anzac Day, paid for poppies on Remembrance Day, and were dropped into collection tins from Perth to Palm Island. For 15 years you could still pull a pristine mint roll, example out of a bank bag for 20-30 collectors, shrugged and said, beautiful design. Pity about the mintage. The 2005 Dancing Man dollar is, without any exaggeration, the single most condition-sensitive, strike-challenged, bag mark attracting, luster-killing circulating commemorative the Ram has ever unleashed on an unsuspecting public. The ultra-high relief dancing man figure creates a mountain range of vulnerable high points. His knee, elbow, hat brim, shoe sole, everyone a magnet for contact marks. The dense crowd scene behind him adds another dozen. Microscopic edges that take scuffs like a sponge. The dies were absolutely hammered to death to achieve that insane mintage, resulting in epidemic strike weakness across the dancer's face and jacket. The fields are vast and semi-proof-like, meaning every fingerprint, every roller line, every carbon spot screams at you under magnification. Original mint luster almost always appears dull, streaky, or milk-spotted, because the planchets were rushed through the production line at wartime urgency. For almost 20 years, the finest known examples crawled into MS-67 and then hit a brick wall. Prices crept from hundreds to low thousands to low five figures. Registry set collectors wept blood trying to upgrade. Then, in late 2025, the numismatic world stopped spinning. A single coin surfaced that looked like it had been minted yesterday, sealed in a time capsule, and hand-delivered by the dancing man himself. A blinding, population 1, beyond belief PCGS MS68 plus graded, one tick away from theoretical perfection. 2005, end of what dollar? The only coin on Earth to ever achieve that designation. The surfaces exhibited violent, liquid gold cartwheel luster that looked radioactive under auction lights. The dancing man's suit jacket had full fabric texture. You could see individual buttons on the sailor's uniform. The dove of peace was struck with feather-by-feather detail. Not one mark, not one hairline, not one spot. Flawless. When the lot opened at international numismatic auctions in Sydney, in November 2025, the room was already standing room only. Phones from Tokyo, London, New York, and every Australian capital were patched in. The opening bid was $40,000. $40,000 before the auctioneer even finished his sentence. The price doubled in 90 seconds. $80,000, $100,000, $20,000. And then, after a bidding war that lasted 11 nail-biting minutes and involved 3 underbidders who refused to die, the hammer finally crashed down at an apocalyptic $123,400, inclusive of buyer's premium. The room didn't applaud. They couldn't. Half the attendees were on the floor. Phones were dropped. One grown man was seen openly weeping. Social media imploded. Headlines screamed across every coin forum on Earth. Dancing man shatters. 100K barrier, new king of circulating dollars. Overnight, every single $2005 in every collection, every bank bag, every deceased estate in Australia was being pulled out and scrutinized. Under 20x loops, none has come even close since. That $123 $400 coin didn't just break the record. It obliterated it, leaping straight over the 2001, Federation's $94 $700, and the 1993 Landcare's $87 $800 like they were standing still. It is now the undisputed, untouchable monarch of the entire circulating commemorative dollar series. The coin that finally dethroned every predecessor and declared itself the new benchmark for what perfection means in modern Australian numismatics. Today, the 2005 Dancing Man at $123 $400 stands alone at the summit, a 9-gram golden monument to the single greatest moment of joy Australia has ever known. The day our diggers came home, the day the lights came back on, the day the nation danced in the streets, preserved in a condition so flawless it defies the laws of probability. It is no longer just a coin. It is the heartbeat of a generation, captured forever in metal. And the scariest part of all? With 36.5 million minted, there is still, statistically, at least one more out there somewhere. Maybe sealed in an original ram bag in a rural bank vault. Maybe in a forgotten biscuit tin under a digger's bed. Maybe in your granddad hoarded a roll because it reminded him of his father. Thanks for watching.